Well, I mean, I think that's what makes creator-owned work like really satisfying, though, and like just the sense that like if you get nothing else out of it, you get like, I made this book, and it was, you can look at that negatively or whatever, but you can also look at it like, I mean, how many people can point to something that they spend their time on, that in a quantifiable way? I realized that with my dad, because you said the thing about, I put this, sheeting on this roof or whatever.
Yeah.
My dad, we would drive by buildings he worked on, and he would be very proud of like, I put the lights up on that tower right there or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, is it lights on the tower? And then as you get older, you're like, oh, like, I get it. You drive past it every day. Like, it's there. It, like, provides light for somebody. Like, I think comics do that.
I think the reason what you said depressed me a little bit, I'll talk about this a little, but the real dysfunction of my career is that The Walking Dead is the outlier that I try to ignore. And so it's like, okay, The Walking Dead is this, big success, turned into a TV show. Like, everybody loves it. Like, whatever. Not everybody loves it. I've been on the internet. But anyway, it's very popular.
Right.
Like, it would be nice if I could go, oh, look, I did this. But instead, I'm like, that doesn't count. I'm not real unless I can do that twice.
Sure. I
and
feel
so it's like I've got to get another thing to be as successful as Walking Dead, or else I'm a fluke.
Yeah.
And so that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me doing new stuff.
I feel a little bit of that. I mean, like, Gwen is not nearly The Walking Dead.
I mean, I'm glad you said it.
But I think she's around now.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's like, not discounting Gwen. When I was at Marvel, that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was like come up with some storyline or some new character that would be on the here's all the characters of the Marvel universe, and you could go, oh, that's my guy.
I think that was the point though, when I was like, this is the most surreal. When they put up a line.
Well, it's the non-Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko guys that always stand out to me. It's the Cables, the Deadpools, the Spider-GWEN. It's like those are the characters where you're like, how the hell did that thing hang on?
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's people out there right now that are like, when will that fucking thing fall off, please? But it's the superhero stuff is the thing that I obviously I think we share like a love for.
Oh, for sure.
And people look at me like I'm weird because I still love them. They're always like, why are you wasting your time on these things for? And to me, it's because they came into my home and taught me art.
Yeah.
And just like, they're so they can be limitless if you allow them to be. Like, they can be.
Yeah, you can do any story within the context of that. And I mean, I've often said, all I ever want to do is write stories of, people having a conversation while they drink tea, but no one would buy that. So I have a zombie come in the wall, and then they have to fight a zombie during the conversation. That makes it interesting. Superheroes are like one of the best things for that. You can literally do any kind of story, explore any kind of thing, and make it interesting because halfway through the conversation, they have to put on a cool costume and do cool shit.
Yep.
It makes it more exciting. So you can hide any kind of story you want within the context of a superhero story.
Well, this can be the last question or the last train of thought then. I mean, so Walking Dead's over though.
Yeah.
And I know you have a million things on your plate or whatever.
Sure.
But what's the investment level like in terms of like your day? Like, how do you... Because I got kind of, when we walked away from Gwen, I wrapped it more or less where I wanted to wrap it. And I was like, the story is starting to like get to a place where it can end. And it would set someone else up to tell a different version of that story. So it was kind of on our own terms. It was pretty much on our own terms. And I still felt like, after it was over, like, oh, what did I do? Because I have my own universe, and to this day, it's been kind of difficult to figure out, like, how to scratch that itch correctly. Like, I can scratch making comics. That's not a problem. Have you had to, like, I just quit the NFL. What am I going to do in my free time?
Well, I haven't had much free time just because I'm doing a lot of different projects and stuff. So it's like one of many projects that I do each month has gone away. That said, Charlie Adlard is a blessing and a curse in comics. So Charlie Adlard, like when I was in the writer's room on Walking Dead, in order to keep the comic going, sometimes I would come home from the writer's room and I'd, like spend time with the family, put the kids to bed, and then I would work from like 8 or 9 p.m. until midnight, writing as many comic book pages as I could. And then I would turn those into Charlie because midnight is, 8 a.m. London time. And I would wake up the next morning and those pages would be drawn and waiting for me. Yep. And I'd be like, oh God, I got to do this again tomorrow night. I'm like, wow, what am I? Oh God. And like, that was my life for a while. And so as great as it is working with him, and as much as I do love him as a human being, and as proud as I am of the work we've done together, it's really nice not having that guy breathing down my neck at all times.
Yeah, sure.
Give me some more script. Sure. Give me some more script. Because that guy is a machine. And so not having that has been, a significant difference in my life. Because what would happen would, if I stumble a little bit on any project, then Walking Dead would jump in front of it in line, because I'd be like, okay, I got to get this much done on Oblivion Song so that I can keep Lorenzo working. And okay, how does the scene work? I don't really have this figured out. I'll work on that tomorrow. The next day, okay, I got to work this out. Like, I'm getting a little bit of headway, but I don't know if I'm real comfortable with it yet. Okay, and then the next day, Charlie would be like, I'm done. I need more script. And be like, what? You're supposed to be 2 more weeks. Like, oh God, I got to keep this guy working. And so then I'd have to work on Walking Dead and Oblivion Song at the same time, and that would happen frequently. So I don't have that happening. So it's a little bit, easier schedule-wise. But I ended Walking Dead because that was the end of the story.
Yeah, sure.
The story was set to be a certain thing, and I reached that point and wrapped it up. And I had the idea, to wrap it up the way I did without not telling anybody, 5 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is going to be the best. This is going to be so good. Yeah. Oh, it's going to surprise people. Ooh. And I was like, killing the book will be a shocking death, like killing a character in the book. Oh man, how can you pass that up? This is going to be great. So excited. Years of being excited. Working toward the end. Oh, it's going to be great. The minute I finished that script, I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Oh God. It felt like I had deliberately killed a family member by accident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I was like, right.
I didn't know I wanted to be killed.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, but I did, and I didn't want to, and you're dead, but I wish I hadn't, but I needed to, and I wanted to, but oh God.
You were like Tony Soprano when they have the car wreck, and he puts his hand over Chrissy's mouth. So
yeah. Kind of. But yeah, it was, and I felt awful for weeks. There were a few days where I just walk around the house, my wife would be like, everything okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, and then this pages start coming in, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm happy that this is working out. And then finally, when people read the story and there weren't, people with pitchforks outside my house, I was like, okay, that's cool. But it's definitely weird. It feels like there's a part of myself that is no longer, there anymore. But I tell myself, I own The Walking Dead. I
exactly.
Bring it back.
Well, right. Yeah. I also was going to say, it probably helps that it's still around.
I still get to work on the show. I still get to work on video games. There's still Walking Dead in my life. Some would say almost too much Walking Dead, but not me. I wouldn't say that. Yeah. Definitely not on camera.
Well, that's how Gwen is. I thought Gwen was gone.
Yeah.
And now I think about her maybe more and still working on her and stuff. She's like my daughter that went to college.
Oh, that's cool.
I can be like, hey, what's happening with that? Well, I think you should do this.
Yeah.
And that.
I'll see you when you come home to do laundry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I try and look at it. And that's helped. Because I think if it had ended and then it just wiped away.
Yeah.
Then I would be like, well, I guess that's over.
Yeah.
You still like comics more than anything?
Yeah, for sure. I guess I watch a lot of movies, but I don't really count movies because everybody watches movies, so that's not a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't get as excited about like a completed episode or a completed season of television as I do a completed printed comic and a trade paperback. So like when I get like the first trade paperback of a new series, I'm like, oh fuck, look at this. That's cool shit. Like, oh god.
Yeah.
But then, like a completed show, I'm like, I wish we had a better budget on that, and I wish this had come together differently, and I can see all the compromise on this, and it's a little different.
Yeah, I guess I feel like all my comics are abandoned at some point. They are. I mean, that's the that line that art is abandoned or whatever. Yeah. I feel it with a comic.
Well, the stuff that you don't draw though, because like for me, my perspective is I wrote this cool story that I was kind of cool about and kind of liked, but then these people turned it into this like amazing thing, and so I'm constantly like, oh man, that scene turned out so great. Oh my god, look at that! I could have never anticipated that visual being so cool. Oh, look at that! That's great. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like I'm marveling at like not necessarily my own work at that point.
Right.
If I had drawn all the pages, I'd be like, garbage.
I don't know, man. If I don't ever say it, if I've never said it before, I look at there's a photo. I've told people before. There's a photo somewhere somebody took, and it's of San Diego, maybe like 15 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. And the lineup of people in that photo is mind-boggling, like in terms of comics, because this is all like our high school class, like like me and you and Corey, Matt Fraction and Rick Remender and Kelly Sue DeConnick and I'm like Jason Aaron, and I'm like the low person on this totem pole, especially then, and I gotta say, like, just having people your own age who like had the willingness to like fucking try it their way, try it any way they could, and people who've succeeded at it. I don't think I would have succeeded if it wasn't for having a peripheral community or people I knew who were my own age that were making it happen. And it's just,
So you can constantly go, what the fuck's wrong with me? They're doing it. They're the same age as me.
Even if it is that. I think sometimes it was that when I was young.
Fuck these guys. I can do better than them.
Yeah. But also to go through the stages of like seeing them make mistakes or seeing them have successes or whatever, it's been really fucking invaluable.
No, every minute of every day I was like, I gotta keep doing this. I gotta keep doing this so that I can show Jason the way.
Right. When there was only one set of really sunken in footprints. It was when I was carrying you on my shoulders. And then that's a good way to end it.
Gotta make that. All right, no, don't end it on that.